What's going on, everybody? Gonna be making a quick trade recap on today, February 17th. It's now February 18th. Basically, I am 7 hours ahead. I'm trading from Greece right now, so that's why the time is a little bit different. If you guys haven't noticed already, but um, let's get right into it. So my initial bias this morning was bearish, and I will explain why I was kind of bearish. I mean, overall into the week, we did put in a daily gap, right? As you can see here on NQ and ES as well. Now, what I wanted to see was price trade into this daily gap and then see a reaction lower. Now, as you can see, we never got that tap, right? But if we look at YM, right, we can see YM tapped in that daily gap and we started to see an overnight sell, which what I was looking for going into the AM was a possible continuation into those draws lower, which we'll explain. So, zooming out, let me just go here on NQ. All right. So first off, we have an internal low that's nice here, right, in this gap. We also have this low down here from Thursday, and we also have this low down here, right? So we have plenty of targets lower. Structure's looking pretty good. If we go to the hourly here, you can see that we were kind of rejecting overnight, right? We came and we swept overnight highs, right? Still respecting this gap, and we're getting a nice reaction down. Now, if we go to the 5-minute, right, what we did off open was we pumped like 200 points, right? And as you can see here, we do have a buy side target up here, right? And a lot of people, again, we don't trade just gaps in general. We look for continuations in those gaps. We look for reactions out of those imbalances, right? So it's not like we're just long buys just because we see a 5-minute gap, right? In some kind of buy side target. We're aligning this with a higher time frame structure, which is that hourly gap, such as the daily gap that we're looking for that had the SMT. We're also seeing, price retrace very aggressively here off the open. Now, what I was looking for in live, we took a live take and then we took a text take here in the PM, which I'll discuss after. But we're looking for a 5-minute inversion on both in order to take this short. Now, as you can see, just timing alone, right? We did not get the candle confirmation that we're looking for. Now, here's the thing. I had conviction in the draw. That's one thing. Second thing is more times than not, especially in the first 30 minutes, right? This is the kind of setup that'll bite you in the ass if you try to predict or anticipate too much, right? It's going to hurt you more if you were to take a short, right? Let's just say, and we rebalanced the bottom of this gap, and for whatever reason, we had either a very deep retrace back or we got an inversion back up, right? And then started to deliver back into that buy side target. More times than not, right? So you really, really want to respect your entry criteria for what you're looking for. Because here's the thing, if I was to jab short predeterminedly, right, and then I basically took a loss, I'd be upset at myself, right? Because I knew I should have followed my rules. I could have protected myself from that loss, right? That's all it's about. So there was no real reason for me to kind of jump in. Was it kind of frustrating that we started to deliver right into these sell side targets? Yes, right? But I know that with this kind of movement that we're having, we're going to get some kind of continuation, right? As you can see here, we put in a 5-minute gap, right? And this is where I started to open up my interest. As you can see, we started to kind of tease this low down here. We retraced back in price. If we go to the 1-minute here, I will show the exact entry that I took. Our original stop was up here, and I'll explain why I moved it after. We tapped in the 5-minute gap, right? We're also respecting this 1-minute gap. You can see we have a decent kind of retracement here. We get an initial reaction, right? And on this candle closure here is where I jab short in this little 1-minute gap. Now, took the short, right? Everything's looking good. I'm expecting a pretty fast delivery, at least into this 430 area, right? 420s. That's where I was looking to possibly go break even on the trade, right? Understanding that this is our new invalidation point. Now, obviously following the plan, right? We didn't get that. We see price run lower, right? Kind of teases low a day here that we put in at 10. And then we see a very aggressive retrace back into this 15-minute gap that we also created. So, right, here we go. See this 15-minute gap get tapped back into, right? Going back to the 1-minute, right? We see another entry possibly to take short. Now, keep in mind, we're still holding this trade, right? We could either add, on the confirmation down here, or just, let structure kind of do its thing. That's what we're kind of talking about in live is our invalidation point is, here for a reason, right? It's above that 5-minute gap that we put in. as long as this 5-minute gap holds, now you guys might say, oh my God, we inverse the 5-minute here, right? But we're trading correlating assets. You can see here, ES respects the gap beautifully, right? That's what I'm paying attention to both, right? If we're not getting any kind of clear inversion on both, it's really no mind to me, right? Especially seeing this buy fall into the sell, right? I understand that we could get some kind of aggressive retrace. That's why I wasn't in any kind of panic state throughout that trade, right? There was really nothing wrong. We started to deliver lower, right? Eventually sweeping this low a day, which again, I'm not going break even just yet. We're still following our plan, right? We still want to see 420s get met, and then we could go break even there, right? Understanding that now we had a new invalidation point, which is why we trailed our stop to this high after we met this low a day. Now, what happened is price kind of chopped around here, right? Which in my eyes, I was understanding, okay, we're not getting any kind of displacement back up. We should be good at this point, right? And then we start to see some buys come in. Now, I was very hesitant to flip long until I saw something much more clear, right? Especially since we sold all the way back down and left these targets. I needed to see something a lot more clear. So price, trade all the way back up, kind of went sideways for a bit, right? Especially when we see an opening range move like this and they get faded all the way down, right? And then all the way back up. You understand that price is exhausted, right? It's trading within its range and it's exhausted. It is going to slow down, which is exactly what it was doing here, right? We were kind of just consolidating into lunch and then into PM. And this is where I started to pick up my interest in this long. Now, this was alerted on text. Obviously, I wasn't live during this time. It was a PM. So I will just show exactly what we're looking at here. So, right, this was the entry. Obviously, again, I'm 7 hours ahead since I'm in Greece right now, so that's why it is 7:59. Once I saw price put in a significant low, right, that's when I started to pick up my interest. This is not the initial tap into these gaps that I was looking for, right? This wasn't a very clean low that was put in. This, right, seeing an aggressive sell followed by an aggressive buy and then seeing structure kind of hold is what picked up my interest, right? So seeing this gap come back, retrace, right, put in a lower low, right, and then start to get the shift in structure, right? We see that this gap gets a closure over. This is where I tried, right? I want to see price tap back in this area and see how it's respected, right? I saw we're kind of consolidating here in this gap and I kind of like that. So that's exactly when I jabbed, right? And then obviously stop at the low, right? That's our new invalidation point, right, in our 15-minute gap that we have here, right? And then pretty textbook stuff. Took the inversion there, right? Had to hold through some chop, through some drawdown, right? As long as this BPR area was kind of respected, right? These bearish gaps overlapping with this bullish gap, right? There was no reason for this trade to fail unless, if this wanted to, for whatever reason, get the closures below, then obviously we could seek lower prices, but that's not what we're anticipating. Since we had that buy side target, first off, high a day, right? High of the AM session here at 11:20. And then we also have this buy side target up here as well. We also do have that daily gap on top as well still, which could be a draw, right? Potentially. So once we took that, right, we started to see some nice displacement through here. And at this point, we understood we were very on side with this trade. As you can see, executions, right? And then, right, high day trim, all that stuff into this area. Now, once we were able to get a good close over 759, right, that's when I was looking to go break even, and that's exactly what we did. And then the full TP smacked right into that nice clean buy side target. And that's pretty much it, right? Nothing too crazy. The biggest takeaway from this is really patience, especially when you guys take a loss like this, when it's textbook, following your criteria that you need to follow, and you take a loss, you have to kind of step away and reevaluate, okay, what exactly went wrong, right? Is price just not cooperating today? Which there's going to be a ton of days like that, right? You need to step away and be like, okay, why did we not really deliver into these targets, right? What's happening? What is price doing? We see price, start to buy. We respect these 15-minute gap that we put in, right? Although it was slow, when we have those continuations in the PM, in the later PM, you're going to notice that especially when price moves like this, it could be kind of exhausted, right? Until it gets that clean sweep, right? Taps in that imbalance area, which also into this 1 minute gap, right? And then we started to see delivery in price. So that pretty much wraps it up. Pretty simple day, nothing too crazy. Morning was kind of frustrating, obviously missing that move, but just another day, one day at a time. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.